So to start with, you're going to need some supplies. Some kitchen tools will be helpful. If you have a fork, this will be really helpful when we're scoring our clay to help put it together. A spoon is very handy for burnishing the clay and help making it nice and smooth. A knife to cut pieces of clay. Butter knife is fine. I also have a paring knife, which is up to you if you want to use something a little bit sharper. I also found a chopstick, which might come in handy. I like to have a paper plate. If you don't have a paper plate, that's fine. Like some newspaper or a piece of paper is okay. We will need some sort of container to make slip in. You can use an old, margarine container or whatever you have around. Plastic is totally fine. I just happen to have a glass one. But you do want a lid that closes nicely. So everybody received a chunk of clay. I already took mine out of the bag. It's important, at this point that we keep our clay nice and moist, that we don't let it dry out. So we don't want to just let it sit at any point. If it's out of the bag, there's a specific reason for it. The first reason we're going to take our clay out of the bag is we're actually going to make some slip. There's more than one way to do this, but I find that my favorite way to make slip is to start with some super dried up clay. So I'm just going to take my butter knife and go to one end and cut a very thin piece off the end. I'm like cutting a chunk off. I don't want to disrupt the rest of this block. I want to keep it as it is for now. I will, wedge it and do other things to it later. So I have a little bit that I've cut off, and this is going to be for slip. Immediately, I want to wrap this back up. The better I do of getting the air out, wrapping it up, put it in the bag. And get the air out of the bag, the better off we'll be. If your bag is damaged at all, you might want to transfer it into a new bag. I want this nice and airtight. Set that off to the side. Okay, so I want to make slip first. I have this very, very wet clay. Honestly, slip is just clay mixed with water. But it breaks down so much easier if it's dried out first. So if I just take my clay, pinch it between my fingers, make these little shards, or they almost look like petals. The goal is to make these thin little pieces because they're going to dry out really fast, and I want them to be dry. It's kind of weird, thinking about making slip. We want it to be clay mixed with water, but the best way to make it is to start off with really dry clay. So I'm going to take my clay bits, pinch them off, let them dry, And then with those little bits, I will make some awesome slip.